So in today's video, I'm going to be going through every League 2 club and giving you guys one player who is out of contract in the summer who needs a new contract with your football club. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 80 likes on today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We are now on the road to 7,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below as well. You will know your club much better than I do. Now all this information has been taken off the website Transfermarkt. I'll leave a link to that down in the description down below. So if any information is wrong, I can only apologise. I know there is some information that is wrong in there because it says players like Jamie Walker and Luke Hendry's contracts both expire with Bradford City this summer, which I know for a fact is wrong. They both expire next summer and they both have the option of a further year as well. But let's waste no further time. Make sure to drop a like on there for me. Subscribe if you are new as well. Let's get into it. Starting out then with AFC Wimbledon. Now this was one of the harder ones that we had to do. I have in the end though gone with Ethan Chislett. He's been a bit of a bright spark in a really poor season really for Wimbledon. He's obviously only 23 years of age, so still lots of time for him to grow and develop as a player. Very good from set pieces. This season in 40 starts for the club, he's got 9 goals and 2 assists. He's created numerous chances, which if they had a better team around him, he could have certainly, his statistics might look a little bit better than what they do. His defensive stats are not bad either, averaging 1 interception per game and 2 tackles per game as well. In my opinion, if you had to pick just one player who's out of contract in the summer for AFC Wimbledon, I think they should look to renew Ethan Chislett's contract. Next up then is Barrow AFC. I have gone with Josh Gordon. Obviously signed on a free transfer from Walsall at the start of last season. 28 years of age now, been 28 stars for the football club this season. He's managed to bag 15 goals, averaging a goal every 174 minutes, which I do think is very impressive. Chipped in with his 1 assist as well. I think he actually scored in the second game of the season against my side, Bradford City. I think he was the player who scored the 96th minute winner after we scored the 95th minute equaliser as well. But in my opinion, a very good player. Seems to have clicked in his time at Barrow because he didn't really work out too well at Walsall. But under Pete Wild, he seems to be doing very well. And in my opinion, is the Barrow player who deserves a new contract. Next up then is Bradford City. We've got a fair few players out of contract, but the most obvious one is Andy Cook. Do I even need to go through his stats? 26 league goals, 29 in all competitions, averages a goal every 119 minutes, and he's only made 35 starts for the club. 26 goals in 35 starts. That is absolutely mind-blowing. He's featured on the team of the week in 9 occasions. He's also chipped in with his assists as well. 6 assists, which puts him joint highest assister in all competitions. I think that he is the top assister though in the league. He averages 1 key pass per game. His defensive stats are pretty decent as well from corners and free kicks. He's very useful. In my opinion, should have won the League 2 Player of the Year. Now I know Northampton fans will come and say, well, he's played more games than Hoskins. He's not played right back like what Hoskins has. The man's scored a goal every 119 minutes. Only Haaland is better. I do think, though, it'll be absolutely ludicrous if Andy Cook is not a Bradford City player this time next season. Regardless of whether we're League 2 or League 1, he has to get a new contract, and he deserves it because he's single-handedly carried us so far this season. I think I saw somewhere on social media saying, without Andy Cook's goals, we currently not be mathematically safe from relegation. That's very, very scary to say, with only 3 games to go. Moving on then to Carlisle United. They've got a lot of players out of contract in the summer. Some off the top of my head are Jordan Gibson, Amari Patrick. They've got a fair few of Taylor Charters as well as another one. But in my opinion, has to be Christian Dennis. Now, he is 33 years of age, but similarly to Andy Cook, has scored 19 goals this season in only 33 starts. I'm not really too sure why he hasn't been playing all too much recently. I know he has gone on a little bit of a dry patch recently. Apart from his 2 goals against Tranmere, he has struggled for goals recently, but in my opinion is a goal scorer at this level. Again, I know they've got options in that striker department like Patrick, Edmondson, Garner as well, but in my opinion Dennis is the most clinical, and it's proven by him scoring a goal every 148 minutes. He has a 23% conversion, which compared it to Andy Cook, who has a 24% conversion, tells you that if Dennis gets chances, Dennis scores goals. 4 assists for him as well this season, and has also created 4 big chances. So in my opinion, if Carlisle United could only renew the contract of one player who is out of a deal in the summer, in my opinion, it should be Christian Dennis. Next up then is Colchester United. This one again was a bit of a tough one in my opinion, but I've gone with Noah Chilvers. He has scored 9 goals this season in 32 starts for the club. Also chipped in with 1 assist. Only 22 years of age. Lots of time for him to develop, and improve as a player. He can play centre mid or probably could even play on the wing as well. In my opinion, again, this wasn't the easiest of decisions to make, but for me, I think Chilvers, out of all the players who is out of a contract, contract, is certainly someone who does deserve a new deal. Next up then is Crawley Town. This was a very hard one because they've had a really poor, underwhelming season, but Aramide Ayote is a player who is out of contract in the summer, still only 24 years of age. I actually forget how young he was when he had his loan spell with Bradford City. This season has scored 5 goals and got 2 assists in 16 starts for the club, so clearly has that impact. There weren't many players who are out of a contract in the summer who, in my opinion, are worth keeping, but Ote was one of them who, as a fringe player next season, could do a decent job. And like what I say, 5 goals and 2 assists in 16 starts, not the end of the world for a club fighting relegation. Next up then is Crewe Alexandra. Now this one was a really hard one because I don't really know too much about Crewe, and I've gone with Daniel Adje, I think that's how you pronounce his name, but this season has scored 14 goals for the club, which I don't think is bad whatsoever. In my opinion, Crewe are a side who have really struggled so far this season, but 14 goals and 4 assists for a striker in a team who are lower half of the mid-table, I think is pretty impressive in my opinion. So for me personally, Crewe Alexandra should be looking to offer Daniel Adje a new contract. Next up then was Doncaster Rovers, and now this was without a doubt the hardest one on the list, because if you look at all the players who are out of contract, all of them should be released, in my opinion. I've gone with Aidan Barlow, though, just as kind of like, well, he's 23. He might have some time to develop. He scored 2 goals and got 1 assist in 5 starts for Doncaster so far this season. It was a really hard one. I mean, when his competition is Jonathan Mitchell, who he's got to be one of the worst goalkeepers I've ever seen play football. Genuinely, on Twitter, I see that man make a mistake every single week. I can only apologise to the Doncaster fans because he is absolutely shocking. In my opinion, though, if you had to give someone a new contract, I have gone with Aidan Barlow. Next up then is Gillingham FC. Now this one was actually really hard because Gillingham, when they sign players or announce new contracts, don't actually tell you when their contracts are going to expire. So a lot of the information on Transfermarkt doesn't tell you when Gillingham's players are out of contract. I have gone with Sean Williams, though I believe he is captain or maybe vice captain at the football club. I'm not sure if it's him or Max Amer, but at 36 years of age, still has something to offer. Gillingham are going to be challenging for the top 7 next season, potentially top 3. I think his experience in the dressing room could certainly prove vital for the Gills. I think he's previously worked with boss Neil Harris at Millwall as well. Chipped in with 3 goals and 2 assists so far this season, but he is more of a defensive-minded midfielder. He'll probably get 15-20 games out of him next season when he's pushing 37. You never really know how his body is going to be able to adapt to that. But in my opinion, out of all the players who are definitely 100% out of a contract in the summer, I think Sean Williams does deserve a new deal with the Gills. Next up then is Grimsby Town. Again, this one wasn't the easiest, but I've gone with Mishi Afite. I want to say is how you pronounce his name. Right back, and he's looked pretty decent in the games that he has played so far this season. 37 in total, 35 starts, 3 goals, 1 assist from right back. But his defensive stats are very impressive. 11 clean sheets for a team in mid-table, I think is very good. Considering he's only started, 35 games, that's about a clean sheet, winning 3 matches. Don't think that's the end of the world, to be honest with you. 0.9 interceptions per game, 1.7 tackles per game, 2.5 clearances per game as well. Now, he has had 1 error, which has led to a goal, and 1 penalty offence committed, but in my opinion, does deserve a new contract with the Mariners. Next up then is Harrogate Town. Now, of all the players out of contract, I think the obvious one is Alexander Patterson. This season has started at 31 matches for the club, scored 9 goals and chipped in with 5 assists. I think that's very impressive for a central midfielder. Still only 25 years of age. I expect this man to be playing League One football though next season. I think it'll be very hard for him to stay around at Harrogate this time next season. For a central midfielder to average a goal every 310 minutes, I think he's very impressive. And he's still only missed 6 big chances as well. So you add them on, 15 goals potentially and 5 assists. If he was more clinical, that's very impressive for a central midfielder. His defensive stats are pretty decent as well. 1.1 tackles per game, 0.7 interceptions and 0.7 clearances, but he is more of a creative midfielder who's going to get in the box and score goals. I'd absolutely love him at Bradford City, but more than likely he will be playing League One football next season, which is obviously not something which is looking likely at this moment in time for Bradford City. Next up then is Hartlepool United. Now, I was debating maybe Josh Umara. I have gone with Mohamed Silla, 29 years of age, but has been outstanding in a lot of the games that he's been playing recently. When Bradford City played Hartlepool a couple weeks ago, something like that, when they drew 2-2 at our place, he absolutely ran the midfield on his own. He was absolutely brilliant. He's all over the park, not scared to put a tackle in. Only the 28 starts so far this season for Hartlepool. I'm not really too sure what the reason is for that. I don't really know when he signed for Hartlepool, but I feel like he wasn't there at the start of the season. When he has played though, he's been outstanding. 1.8 interceptions per game, 3.2 tackles per game, 1.3 clearances per game. This man is an enforcer in the midfield, and Hartlepool looking like they will be playing National League football next season, but in my opinion, could be a very, very good, useful player to have in the centre of midfield. Next up then is Leyton Orient. They will obviously be playing League One football next season. I think this is the first time I've done a League Two overall video where Leyton Orient have obviously since been promoted and crowned champions as well. So congratulations to all the Orient fans. Make sure they enjoy it, and make sure in the last game of the season to let Bradford City win. Play the youngsters. Your first team can have the day off. He's played all 43 matches so far this season for the O's, averaging a goal conceded only 0.7 per game, which I think is very impressive. He's saved 3 out of 6 penalties as well. He's only conceded 29 goals in total, which I think is very, very impressive in my opinion, and 25 of them have been from inside the box. Goalkeepers do usually struggle with shots inside the box because it's so close, so you can't really blame him for that, but he's been outstanding this season. 24 clean sheets, I think he's very, very impressive. He has given away 3 penalties, which you maybe can give him a bit of criticism for, but recently, from what I've seen from Harry Lewis, I think Vigouroux probably slightly edges him for the team of the season. It's just over the last few games, Lewis has been a little bit shaky. So, in my opinion, there was a few players, to be fair, who were out of contract with the O's, but I think the most important one has to be Lawrence Vigouroux. If you are enjoying today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're really, really close to 7,000 subscribers, so please make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit that by the end of the season, and it would be massively appreciated. Next up then is Mansfield Town. They've got a fair few players out of a contract in the summer. Obviously, they had Ollie Hawkins and George Lapsley. They did move on, though, in January to Gillingham. They've got players like George Maris, Ollie Clark. Stephen Quinn, though, is the player that I have gone with. Now, he is now 37 years of age, but you notice the difference when he's not in that Mansfield side. The creativity that this man has in the centre of midfield, obviously. He's played for under Nigel Clough for the majority of his career. Chipped in with 2 goals and 6 assists so far this season. Averages 1.4 key passes per game and has created 5 big chances as well in total. I think he's very, very impressive in my opinion, and for his age, outstanding footballer. Next up then is Newport County. Now, I've gone with who I believe is club captain Mickey Dimitri, 33 years of age, but has played 42 matches so far this season for Newport. I think that means he's only missed 1 or 2, which I do think is very impressive. 3 goals scored, 3 assists as well from centre half or maybe left back. I think that is very, very impressive in my opinion. You do notice the difference though when he's not in that Newport side, because he's kept 10 clean sheets so far this season, 1 interception per game at 1.5 tackles per game, and 5.7 clearances per game. 5.7, very, very impressive. I think he's a brilliant defender in my opinion for his age. He suits a club like Newport with all due respect, and in my opinion deserves a new contract with the Welsh outfit. Next up then is Northampton Town. Now again, looks very likely they're going to be playing at League One football next season, unless they bottle it even harder than what they did last season. I think more than likely Northampton will be in Sky Bet League One next season. In my opinion, the player who does deserve a new deal is John Guthrie. They don't want another situation like what they had with Fraser Horsfall at the end of last season. Now, in my opinion, Guthrie was the better of the 2 players, but he's chipped in with 2 goals so far this season. His defensive stats, though, are very impressive. Considering he's only played 41 matches, 15 clean sheets is certainly not something to be sniffed at. 1.2 interceptions per game, 1.1 tackles per game, and 4.6 clearances per game as well. Absolutely fantastic defender, and you notice the difference when he's not in that Northampton side. I think he's injured, though, for the rest of the season, so he won't be featuring on Saturday, and in my opinion, definitely deserves a new contract with the football club. Next up then is Rochdale AFC. Now, obviously, it is already confirmed that they will be playing at National League football next season. It's been a shocking season for the Dale, but a bright spark in a really poor season has been Danny Lloyd, 31 years of age, and in my opinion, deserves a new contract with the football club. If they don't, I can definitely see him playing in League 2 next season, because I think he's done a very good job with his time at Rochdale. Like I say, 31 years of age, but 22 starts, 6 goals, 3 assists is certainly not something to be sniffed at. He averages 1.3 key passes per game, created 3 big chances as well. I think he's a very, very good player. The defensive side of things, I can understand why it might be a bit of a frustrating one, but going forward, he's absolutely brilliant and certainly more than good enough to be playing in League 2 next season. Salford City are currently a team challenging for the playoffs, and if they're not a League 1 football club next season, I can certainly see Ibu Toure playing in League 1 next season. He's been absolutely fantastic for the Amis this campaign. Very durable with 43 matches played, 42 starts for the football club, 9 assists from left back, left wing back. I think he's very, very impressive in my opinion. 12 clean sheets. He's good defensively as well. 0.7 interceptions per game, 1.9 tackles, 2.1 clearances as well. I think it's very impressive stats. Created 11 big chances, averaging 1.2 key passes per game. For a left back, his offensive stats are absolutely brilliant. And in my opinion, unless Salford chuck an absolutely ridiculous amount of cash at him, I think he will certainly be playing in League 1 next season, regardless of whether Salford are in that league or not. Next up then is Stevenage FC. Now, I have gone with Terence Van Cooten, and if anyone's ever listened to a Steve Evans post-match interview when this man was injured, you'll know how highly Steve Evans rates him. At 25 years of age, still lots of time for him to develop. He's out of a contract, obviously, with Stevenage in the summer. He has had his injury problems, though, because he's only featured in 27 matches so far this season for them. He has got 1 assist for the club, but no goals this season, but his defensive stats are really impressive. 8 clean sheets so far this season, averaging 1.3 interceptions per game, 1.6 tackles per game, and 3.3 clearances per game as well. Certainly puts his body on the line for the cause, and it looks like Stevenage may be playing automatic League One football. You get what I'm trying to say. They will be playing League One football next season via the automatic promotion places, and I think Terence Van Kooten, when he has been fit, has been a big factor towards that. Next up then is Stockport County. They don't really have many players out of a contract in the summer, or certainly many players who are that important. In my opinion, though, I've gone with goalkeeper Ben Hinchcliffe, 34 years of age, but whenever Bradford have played against him, I think he has looked pretty impressive. He's one of the few goalkeepers who we have failed to score against so far this season. Similar to Lawrence Vigouroux, only averages 0.7 goals conceded per game. He's yet to save a penalty, but he's conceding 24 goals in total, 20 inside the box, 4 from outside the box as well. In terms of clean sheets, he's got 16 clean sheets so far this season, averaging 1.1 clearances per game. Like what I mentioned, not many players from Stockport County are out of a contract in the summer, but Ben Hinchcliffe, from what I've seen so far this season, has impressed me and does deserve a new deal with the football club, despite being at 34 years of age. Next up then is Sutton United. I have gone with striker Omar Bougiel. This season for Sutton has got 6 goals and 2 assists, which I don't think is too bad, to be fair. Again, I don't really know too much about Sutton, and they seem to have a lot of players out of a contract, but Bougiel, I'm not really too sure how you pronounce his name, but like I say, 8 goal contributions in 35 appearances. I don't think it's too bad for a team like Sutton. Again, with all due respect, I think he'll be a good backup for them next season if they do need an option off the bench. Swindon Town's Jonathan Williams is out of a contract in the summer, and in my opinion, it does deserve a new deal with the football club. 10 goals and 2 assists in 35 starts, I think is very impressive. When Williams originally signed for Swindon, I think everyone was kind of shocked by it because he's a Welsh international, can play as a 10, an 8, could probably even play left wing if you really need him. So he's featured in the team of the week on 2 occasions. Creative midfielder, scores goals, gets in the box, decent from set pieces as well. And in my opinion, if Swindon can keep hold of Johnny Williams, I think he will be a big part of if they are to have any success in the upcoming campaign. Next up then is Tranmere Rovers. Now this one was a bit like Doncaster, really hard to pick. I think the only player who is out of a contract who maybe deserves a new deal is central defender Tom Davies. You certainly do notice when he is not in that side. He is 31 years of age, but I think another 1-2 year contract for him at Tranmere, while they are still in League 2, it could certainly serve him very well. Only the 25 starts for him so far this season, but in them games he's kept 8 clean sheets. So again, about a clean sheet win in every 3 games, which I think is about a decent amount for a League 2 defender. 1.4 interceptions per game, 1.1 tackles per game, and 5.0 clearances per game as well. I think he's very, very impressive for a central defender. Like what I say, not many really competing for that spot in the Tranmere Rovers squad because they haven't been great at all this season, but in my opinion, Tom Davies does deserve a new deal. And the final team on this list is Walsall FC. They've got a lot of players out of contract in the summer, and I expect another big clear out from the Saddlers. Recently parting company with manager Michael Flynn. It seems to have gone a bit stale there, but in my opinion, a new deal should be offered to central defender or even left back Emmanuel Monte. Very impressive in both games that Bradford City played against him. He's such a big physical giant that you really do struggle to get past him. His footballing technical ability isn't great, but because he's so monstrous, he's like 6'5" and he's absolutely wham. 28 years of age, still time for him to maybe grow as an actual footballer. 2 goals in 42 appearances, 2 assists as well. Defensively, 14 clean sheets. I think he's very, very impressive. 1.0 interceptions per game, 1.7 tackles per game, 3.4 clearances per game as well. Now, in my opinion, he would suit a very, very good club who are challenging for the playoffs in League 2 as another option. Not necessarily a ball playing option, but someone like a Stevenage I think could certainly benefit from someone like Emmanuel Monte. Seems to be perfect for the Steve Evans system and the way they're trying to play. But there we have it then. That is one player from every League 2 club who in my opinion does deserve a new contract with the football club. If you have enjoyed watching today's video, please make sure to drop a like on there for me. If you could try and hit 80 likes, as I said at the start of today's video, that'd be massively appreciated. Subscribe if you're new as well. We are now on the road to 7,000 subscribers, so please make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already, with that post notification bell on. It's free to do so and it does massively help out. Get your thoughts in as well down in the comment section down below. Like I said at the start of today's video, you guys will know your club much better than me, so who do you feel deserves a new contract? And if it was to be just a one player, who specifically would you like to see get offered a new deal with your club? Thank you very much for watching today's video. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all very soon for another one. Peace!